friends. I have a really quick thought to share today, which is about manifesting, which a lot of folks think of as pretty new agey. I mean, I admit it, I think of it as pretty new agey. And if you're not familiar with the idea of manifesting, it's basically the idea that you think about what you want. Maybe you focus on it, you create a vision board, something like that. And if you keep this thing in mind, or this, set of circumstances, whatever it is you're trying to get, your thought, your orientation toward this is going to bring it into your life somehow. And I'm not like a huge believer in this myself, but I realized I actually do believe in something really similar that's backed up by a lot of Buddhist doctrine. And that is the idea of karma. And if you're wondering, wait, what does manifesting have to do with karma? The idea of manifesting what you want is basically that you're gonna keep your mind on a goal. You're gonna use your intention to bring something into your life. Now, from a Buddhist perspective, if you don't have the causes and conditions to bring this into your life, it's just not going to happen. Like if I decide, I don't know, I want to win the lottery or write a book that becomes an instant bestseller, and I don't know, I get like on the New York Times bestseller list for 60 weeks in a row. It's not going to happen just because I want it. But here's the thing I realized in connection with this idea of manifesting. The Buddhist teachings on karma teach you how to create the foundation, how to create the causes for the thing that you want to experience in the future. So you might be familiar with the idea of past and future lives in Buddhism. And the idea of karma is that our circumstances for this lifetime are basically created through our previous lives. So that when we're born into a particular family, we have a particular body, particular circumstances, all of that actually is created by what we kept our attention on in previous lives. And the same thing works within like any one lifetime, but maybe to a lesser extent. Like for instance, I've already got the karma for this lifetime, I don't know, to be female, to come from the US. Like I have all these circumstances that are already determined. So I'm not gonna, there are certain limits on how much I can change what's showing up in this lifetime based on the karma of previous lives. But this is where Buddhist practice is really helpful. There are practices for clearing out your karma from previous lives. Practices like just reflecting on, all the stuff you've done, maybe just today, maybe just this week, maybe just this last year, all the stuff you've done that you're not proud of and you don't feel good about. And you really decide like, I don't want to keep doing that stuff. These patterns are harmful to me. They're harmful to the people around me. They're not setting up a good future. So by reflecting on what you've done and really trying to get to the root of it, not just like, oh, I wish I could talk about people behind their backs less often. Okay, so why am I doing that? Can I let go of the foundations that are driving this negative karmic behavior? And we may have inherited those foundations for our negative behaviors from centuries ago, lifetimes ago. I mean, this is a traditional Buddhist perspective, but it kind of makes sense to me that we all come into a lifetime with a lot of direction, a lot of like momentum in a certain direction, which you can think of as your karma. And in a way, that is actually a form of like manifesting the things that you keep your attention on. It's just most of us are not doing it consciously. If you're always focused on what's going wrong, if you're focused on the people who stress you out, if you're focused on, I don't know, the negative self-talk that just pops up in our heads all the time, if you're focused on what you can't do, what you don't have, I mean, all that stuff. From a Buddhist perspective, you're cultivating a sense of what you're not, what you lack, what you want. And there's just this sense of insufficiency, sense of not enough, and you're just going to keep perpetuating that. That's not something I want to manifest, but like from a karmic perspective, that's what we are manifesting, if you want to put it that way. So that's the negative side of it. But with the positive side, this is, I think, where people, like especially modern Western people, don't necessarily appreciate the full power of Buddhism. It's a whole set of guidelines and suggestions for how to live your life that will actually help you set good karma in motion so that the future of this lifetime and your future lifetimes for however many, I don't know, centuries or eons to come, that they're all going to be improved. So if you're curious to know more about this, you can just Google the Eightfold Path in Buddhism. It's a wonderful set of teachings on basically how to get from here, like unenlightened existence. We're just bumbling around, putting our attention, our energy into things that we don't necessarily want because we're not using our mindfulness and our attentiveness to really notice what we're doing and to clean up our karma. And then we can also start to consciously reflect on what are my values, what do I want to contribute to the world, and how is my practice going to help me contribute that? Maybe not in this lifetime. Maybe I want to wake up completely, become a Buddha someday, and liberate all living beings from suffering. Okay, let's manifest that. That's called the bodhisattva ideal, and there are prayers you can do for that reason. There's all these practices, especially in the Mahayana tradition, where people talk a lot about the bodhisattva ideal. There's really time-honored ways of cultivating that open, spacious, compassionate mind so that someday you manifest as a Buddha who's capable of really benefiting yourself and other living beings. So I just wanted to share a little something about how Buddhism offers us the tools to shape the future that we want. And in a traditional view of past and future lives, we're not limited to the amount that we can shape our future. We can crack open completely, let go of a human form, wake up as a Buddha. There's a certain vastness to the Buddhist vision of what we even can manifest. Maybe in this lifetime, that's not where things are going to go for me, but if I head in that direction, even this lifetime will be better. If you start just noticing your thoughts, noticing what you're feeding with your attention, then I would say that is a Buddhist version of manifesting the mind you want. You only have control over the external circumstances of your life to a certain extent. I mean, in the middle of COVID, I can't just manifest a COVID-free world, but there's a huge amount of plasticity, to use a term from neuroscience, a huge amount of adaptation that's possible in terms of where we're going. So if you think about your karma as heading in a certain direction, and practices of mindfulness, of reflecting on impermanence, reflecting on compassion, really, really basic core teachings of Buddhism, all these things are designed to help you go in a certain direction that is away from suffering, it's toward joy, it's toward bliss and freedom. So if you're interested in learning more, as I already mentioned, you can Google the Noble Eightfold Path in Buddhism. I also wrote an entire short, easy book for beginners called The Buddhist Path to Joy, which is about the Four Noble Truths. And it's meant to be a very easy introduction to Buddhism. And you'll understand, I don't necessarily talk about manifesting in that book because it's not exactly a Buddhist term. But if you read it, you'll understand more about what I'm talking about in terms of cleaning up our karma, using meditation and other forms of Buddhist practice to choose the direction we want to go in instead of just following after our habitual tendencies. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that maybe it gets you thinking about karma in a slightly different way, or manifesting in a slightly different way, and that this can help you to ultimately live into, to manifest a much vaster and more joyful self. So may you and all beings be well.